All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, BG, Brandon Golden. Brandon, how you doing today, man?
I'm great, my man. How are you doing?
Doing good. Coming off a Masters weekend, ECU Baseball weekend, MLB. Braves win a series, so that fired me up. They got Clayton McCullough, Connor Norby, and the Marlins starting tonight, so I will definitely be following that. I saw something last week, and I texted you because I forget things. Every day seems like a week. Every week seems like a
Yeah.
month to me. But I did remember, and so did you, so I appreciate it. But I wanted to ask you, and Chris Sale had a great performance last night. Kind of a bounce back after a freak out he had last week. And Chris Sale, that was not his first freak out. He famously did not like the throwback uniforms the White Sox were wearing one game and cut him up with a pair of scissors, cut his jersey. Do you remember that story, Brandon,
I
from
do. Yeah.
from years ago? But this one involved him on the mound last week, and he was mad at himself, I believe, more than anything. He walked the
Yeah.
bases loaded. I think walked a run in, hit a batter to score a run, and that was like an infield single mixed in, so that probably irked him too. But I wanted to bring it up, Brandon, because I'm not asking you to change my oil, and I'm not asking my mechanic to show me how to throw properly. But does
Right.
the mental coaching ever come into your physical
Oh
coaching? And
my
if
gosh.
that's Chase Burns, if that's one of your guys, does that come up the next time y'all have a meeting with one another?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's such an integral part of how things go. I mean, actually, Blake Hardigree is our mental performance guy with with our lab and with our travel teams and stuff. H degree that he runs, he's really good at it. But yeah, I mean, you have to. Everybody has to be involved on the mental coaching side of it. You know what I mean? Because there's so many stressors, there's so many different things, and that's why, for me, Clip, it's always been about the relationship. So you can have those conversations to where,
Right.
like, if he was one of my guys, like, dude, what the hell are we doing? Like, what happened? Or like, I'm with him, so I know what's going on, and maybe
Yeah.
I don't even address that situation. So yeah, I mean, there's just so many different things that go into why guys act the way they do, and the results that happen on the field.
Yeah, and I guess your role too is telling him or guiding him on why he got in that situation. Why are you walking all these guys? And
Yeah.
that's the part you certainly can fix. And I always ask guys with the ECU guys, like during a season, do you ever change your stance, your swing? Do you ever change your, what you do on the mound? And it's very kind of slight changes, if any at all. You don't want to repackage the whole thing. But how much can you fine tune things, Brandon, as a pitcher, as a baseball player when you're in the middle of a season?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on, obviously, like, if there's pain, then you got to change something, and if there's lack of performance, you got to change something. So,
Yeah.
if there's no pain and you're mowing people down and you're hitting for average and doing whatever you need to do, like, then you should probably keep it the same and not mess with it. But there's definitely times where it's like, hell, we got to scrap some certain things here and go back to the drawing board. But I think it always starts back, at least for me, it does, with movements and the way things are going. And obviously, Chris Sale has been somebody who kind of throws across his body left-handed, can really get the thing kind of going side to side there. But if you look at him from just like a performance standpoint, I've never trained Chris Sale. I don't know Chris Sale. Dan Roselle actually recruited him, former
Oh wow.
Pirate coach, and trained and coached him. But I've never met the man, so I don't know what his abilities are. I do know that he struggled, getting hurt and things like that. He's not super physical, so it could be something to where maybe he can't repeat certain things from a physical general standpoint that show up in the game. But yeah, that's just guessing. But yeah, I mean, I guess to answer your question, if there's pain and lack of performance, you got to change it
Yeah.
regardless of where you're at.
Brady Golden joining us today on Pirate Radio Live. And Brandon, we'll talk a little Pirates. Pirates coming off a weekend series loss to Tulane, and kind of a frustrating one because you get another good outing from Luke Payne. You get some pretty good pitching on Friday. Bats don't do enough. You win on Saturday and then lose the rubber match on Sunday. But part of the baseball grind. What do you think went wrong for the Pirates this weekend in New Orleans, which has been a tough place to play for ECU?
It is a tough place to play, Clip. I've been down there, and it's a pretty good environment down there. It's no Clark LeClaire, but it's a pretty good environment, and they do a good job with the fans being on you and stuff. I'll be honest, I don't know what kind of went on. I didn't get to watch as much as I normally do. I was in New York on a business trip, so I was actually at City Field and doing some different things up there. But yeah, I mean, I kind of checked the box scores and tried to keep up with it as best I can. It just looked like it was, yeah, one of those things where that's baseball. That's kind of just what happens at times.
You were at City Field watching the Mets lose, right, to the A's.
Yeah,
And
I sure,
what were you
I
what
sure
were you
was.
doing up there, Brandon?
I sure was. I was doing some stuff on the business side with some of our travel teams. We're bringing in a new partner. Took him up to meet one of our partners, Pat Gironi, with PRD, and yeah, just got to hang out with Kurtz a little bit on the field. Scott
Yeah.
Emerson is a good guy who's from around this area that I've been able to meet, pitching coach for the A's. So hanging out with those guys a little bit, and then was lucky enough to meet Carlos Beltran. So that was kind of cool as well.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, one of
Yeah.
the greats. Brandon Golden joining us today, Pirate Radio Live. Brandon, how about Austin Irby? What do you do with a guy that you know can hit that is not hitting? And there's different things you can do. You can just bench him. Cliff has chosen at this point to just drop him in the lineup and
Yeah.
try to let him figure it out himself. There's a million different ways to do it, probably, and it depends on the individual. But that's a guy that at some point has to get going, and at some point I think will get going. It's just a matter
Yeah.
of when and what he needs to do to get to that point.
Yeah, to your point, I mean that's probably what I would do is what CG did is drop him down, just because maybe he's gonna be able to see some different pitching. They're gonna pitch him a little bit different. The unfortunate thing for Irby is people still know who he is, no matter where he's at in the lineup. So he's gonna face some tough pitching. But yeah, I mean I think just kind of letting him work his thing out and not putting too much pressure on him, which I'm sure they're not doing. I'm sure they're letting him do his thing, work with Goat, do the stuff that he needs to do, hang out with CG, and just again go out there and play free. Some guys when they try to press and do certain things, they line out or hit into a double play or whatever, they pull the ball on the ground. Like it can be challenging, but for him, just allowing him to go out and play free and just knowing the ball is going to fall and having the faith that all the preparation that we do down there is going to kind of take care of itself.
Got NC State coming up on Tuesday, Brandon. Those are always special games at Clark LeClaire Stadium. And for on one side of it, you got so many games, you can't put all your eggs in a basket in one basket for one game. But also, when you do have so many games, it's nice to kind of get up for one and make it
Yeah,
feel a little different than the others. And the State ECU game always feels a little different.
yeah, that'll be a fun one. Anytime they come to town, it's that thing's circled. Anytime the guys in blue from down the road come a little bit as well, it's just circled and it's a fun place. The jungle will be jumping. There'll probably be 5,000 to 6,000 people there on a Tuesday, and just be ready to rock and roll.
Looking forward to that, Brandon. Coming off the Masters, man, I put in 5 little wagers, and 3 of them due to Ryder Giles, and he led me in the right direction with Cameron Young and with Justin Rose. And I always bet on Morikawa. I put a little bit in on Scotty on Saturday. So at one point, I had 4 guys like in the top 6, and
Yeah.
it didn't matter because Rory McIlroy won, and I won nothing. By the
Yep.
way, for folks wondering, Brandon did text me Scotty early
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah. Almost got it.
And speaking of Scotty, I was going to ask you, do you have a relationship to golf when it comes to what you do and your expertise? And because I probably poo poo it like, yeah, these guys are just out there having a Sunday stroll. And then you
Right.
see the slow mo of Scotty's drive and the force and the way the body moves and the violence in it is crazy to think how many times those guys do that and how it can wear on you. Have you ever worked professionally in golf, or is it a recreation for you even?
Yeah. Yeah. I love to play golf. I'm not very good. RG will tell you that. But yeah, I love to go out and play golf. CG actually sent me to the TPI certification, the Titleist Performance Institute. I want to say that was back in either 18 or 19. I can't remember. But that was a lot of the first step of like just the movement assessment and understanding how the pelvis works and stuff and being able to transfer force into the ground, up the chain, and into an implement, which is a golf club. So it's been pretty fun to watch. But yeah, I haven't trained a lot of high level golfers yet. I've worked with some high school kids around the area here that are
Cool.
special and talented, but that's something that hopefully down the road we'll continue to work on.
Yeah, we saw like Tiger growing up and the muscle he developed. Bryson obviously is
Oh yeah,
a muscle dude who's actually I think thinned down from what he
yeah.
once was. But how about like weight training for a golfer? Is it one of those where you don't want to get too buff, or how do you kind of differentiate a golfer from another athlete?
Yeah, I think you just got to understand what they're doing. Like to your point, they have to go walk every day. So
Yeah,
when they're out there doing stuff, it's like if they have a bunch of lean muscle mass and they can handle that, the extra stress of walking around with more body weight, great. If that's a benefit for them, if that moves the needle, then we should do it. If it doesn't move the needle, then we should probably not pack on lbs and just move more efficiently and allow them to go do their thing. But when you watch guys on the PGA Tour, especially in the summer, like the Wyndham Championships here in Greensboro at Sedgefield, and we go to that most years, you'll see guys with their water bottles, hydration shakes, and all that different stuff that they're just pounding different snacks and water and electrolytes all throughout the day. So it's a lot more high level athletics that people give them credit for. Like to your point, like being able to rotate as fast as they do for as long as they do throughout the course of a tournament, a 4-day
yeah.
tournament, is pretty damn impressive.
It's a marathon. We're
Yeah.
reminded of that when we see those scores fluctuate
Oh yeah.
from Friday to Sunday. Speaking of hydration, Brandon, a spring game coming up Saturday. I believe I saw somebody say it's going to be in the 90s. I haven't looked ahead,
Yeah.
but it is going to be a hot spring game at Dowdy Ficklin Stadium. And I always hear like coaches say the hydration doesn't start game day Saturday. It starts like through the week, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, they got to start now or they're going to be in trouble, which I'm sure they are. The
Yeah.
medical staff with what we have down there is pretty good and they're special people. So, yeah, they'll get them rolling. I think one thing is the education. We always did a really good job of the athletic training staff down there. They did, not we, but they did a great job of educating our athletes and just having pictures in the restrooms and just stuff all over the place. If this is what your urine looks like, you're in trouble. Like just
Right.
in their face constantly with the hydration stuff has been outstanding. And there's some guys that are like, oh, I'm good. I can go out there and I can sprint. And, I'm running back. I'm going to sprint and chill for a little bit. But when they experience stuff and they run into a little trouble, the medical staff always helps them out.
Can't remember the coach of the team who had that famous chart, Brandon, that was like, if it's this color, you're a great teammate. This color,
Yeah,
not a good teammate. This color, you're a bad person.
that's all. I haven't seen that one. I don't know. That's
I'll,
outstanding.
I'll have to
It's true,
find that
though.
and text it to you.
That's
It's
true.
pretty funny.
That's good.
Brandon Golden joining us. Brandon, also in the sports world. I follow the Canes during the regular season. I watch religiously during the playoffs. Very excited about them. At this point, they are the '90s Braves to me. That you just know they're going to be in the playoffs. It's a matter of what they do when they get there. On
Yep.
the flip side, the Charlotte Hornets are not used to postseason basketball. Unfortunately, they got to get through the play-in. They'll play Miami Tuesday and then have to win another to get to the playoffs. But really excited about Con Knipple, and I love Brandon Miller. I'm getting on board with LaMelo Ball. Don't necessarily love
Yeah.
everything about him, but damn if
Right.
he ain't fun to watch at times.
No
But
doubt.
how about Canes and Hornets? You following any of that coming up?
I will be. To your point, I don't a whole lot during the regular season. The strength coach, Bill Burnerson, over at the Canes, is a good friend of mine. I've known him for years. We work together with USA Baseball, so I keep up with them when they get to the playoffs and stuff, and I need to go check them out and check out a game. But yeah, to your point, the Hornets haven't been relevant, I guess, in a long time, probably since I was
Nah.
a little kid in the playoffs. So it's going to be something fun to watch and keep tabs on for sure.
Looking forward to that. Brandon, love the chat as always, man. When you got another edition of the Brandon Golden Show coming up?
Yeah, we're going to talk with Sean Camp coming up either this week or next week and kind of get some just insight from him about what he's done. He's a professional pitcher in the big leagues for 11 years and then head coach over at George Mason. Knows the Agnos boys really well. Kind of worked with them as they were coming up too. So it's going to be a fun one. He's an awesome dude.
Speaking of Agnos, great performance by Zach Agnos with the Rockies last week, going multiple innings against the Astros. Getting up as we speak right now with Carter Cunningham to come on the show this week. Brandon is a
Love that.
ton of Pirates in the minors getting it done as well. So fun
Yeah,
to follow.
absolutely.